In a reviewer should of course be able to create, update and delete content blocks. Right now it's possible to view accepted code comments, but we would also like to be able to create free-form text. The obvious way to achieve this would be to add little block dividers in between blocks that will display a toolbar on hover. Let's start in the content element partial. We'll just write down a bit of placeholder code for the moment. We render a block divider component that we have yet to write after each content element. This component will boast a pop-over slot holding a few buttons in a toolbar. We go on to pass in some form params for the new content element to be created, such as the position in the list and the polymorphic parent. We head over to the comment partial and copy in the same view code. Only this time we need to swap the content element local for comment. Now let's actually generate this block divider component. In it, we define a pop-over slot and tell it to use a toolbar component to render it. We'll get to that in a second. Into the components template, we paste in some markup. The crucial element is the entry point for the pop-over slot in line 14. Furthermore, we add a standard stimulus controller to handle the drop-down functionality, which you will see in a moment. It consists of a button as the drop-down's toggle trigger element and a menu target that will get toggled visible and invisible. Back to our toolbar component, let's actually generate it from the terminal and allow it to take params. Next, let's modify the component's template. Adding a button 2 for a new content element and passing the params that we defined in the content element partial is enough to test it out for the first time. Inspecting our browser's network tab, we find a post request to the content element's controller, including all the specified params. This looks like a success. But why is our new content element not showing up? Well, it's there alright. If we refresh the browser, we can see it. We can also fully leverage the inline editing functionality from the last video. But the content element's controller create action responded with a 204 no content status. Why would we want to do that? The answer is we can make use of CableReady Updatable again to provide streaming updates for all watching users. For this, all we actually have to do is pass enable updates true to the content elements association in the relevant parent models, section and chapter. Now, in the corresponding edit views, we just have to wrap our list of elements in an updates for tag. Before we can give this a final spin, we have to take care of another concern: handling focus. After creating a new content element, we would like to be able to instantly type in it. To achieve this, we'll create a stimulus controller. We'll define a focus target and a focused value of type Boolean. Next, we implement a value change listener for this value, performing focus on the focus target whenever the value changes to true, else we call blur. Most of the time, I find it a good practice to handle state via the values interface in Stimulus, because it gives you the chance to modify it either declaratively in the markup or imperatively from code. So setting this.focused value to true will trigger the above callback if it has changed. To streamline matters a bit regarding CableReady Updatable, let's create an Updatable controller concern. In it, we set an instance variable isUpdatableRequest to true if the magic X CableReady update header is present on the request. This will make it easier to distinguish between regular requests and such made by CableReady Updatable in our controller and view code. After including it in our content elements controller, we add a focused parameter to our previewable markdown area component. In its view template, we add the autofocus controller and set the focused value. We'll trigger the focus action manually when invoking the right tab, so the text area will gain focus. For this, we have to make it the autofocus controller's focus target. Heading back to the content element partial, we set the initial value of focused to whether or not we are dealing with an updatable request. That way, after content is added, it will always gain focus. Now finally time for a demo. When I click Add Markdown, a text area appears that instantly has focus. We can write and preview as expected. To demonstrate how CableReady Updatable can take care of all CRUD actions, let's look at the destroy action. I'll just paste in some ERB into the content element partial containing a button 2 targeting the delete method. We now have a little trash button here that we can click on. After confirming, the content element in question is deleted from the database and the view is automatically updated. In the next video, we'll take a look at how to sort this list of content elements and descendants.